Hello guys. Welcome to Amazing Facts of World YouTube channel.
History of calendars.
The history of calendars, that is, of people creating and using methods for keeping track of days and larger divisions of time, covers a practice with ancient roots. Archaeologists have reconstructed methods of timekeeping that go back to prehistoric times, at least as old as the Neolithic. The natural units for timekeeping, used by most historical societies, are the day, the solar year, and the lunation. Calendars are explicit schemes used for timekeeping. The first historically attested and formalized calendars date to the Bronze Age, dependent on the development of writing in the ancient Near East. The Sumerian calendar was the earliest, followed by the Egyptian, Assyrian and Elamite calendars. A larger number of calendar systems of the ancient Near East appear in the Iron Age archaeological record, based on the Assyrian and Babylonian calendars. This includes the calendar of the Persian Empire, which in turn gave rise to the Zoroastrian calendar, as well as the Hebrew calendar. The Roman calendar was reformed by Julius Caesar in 45 BC. The Julian calendar was no longer dependent on the observation of the new moon but simply followed an algorithm of introducing a leap day every 4 years. This created a dissociation of the calendar month from the lunation. In the 11th century in Persia, a calendar reform led by Khayyam was announced in 1079, when the length of the year was measured as 365.242 days. Given that the length of the year is changing in the sixth decimal place over a person's lifetime, this is outstandingly accurate. For comparison, the length of the year at the end of the 19th century was 365.242 days, while today it is 365.242 days. The Gregorian calendar was introduced as a refinement of the Julian calendar in 1582, and is today in worldwide use as the de facto calendar for secular purposes. The term calendars itself is taken from the calends, the term for the first day of the month, in the Roman calendar, related to the verb collare, to call out, referring to the calling or the announcement that the new moon was just seen. Latin calendarium meant account book, register, as accounts was settled and debts were collected on the calends of each month. The Latin term was adopted in Old French as calendaire and from there into Middle English as calendar by the 13th century. The spelling calendar is from early modern English. A number of prehistoric structures have been proposed as having had the purpose of timekeeping. This includes many megalithic structures and reconstructed arrangements going back far into the Neolithic period. In Victoria, Australia, a Wadi Yarang stone arrangement could date back more than 11,000 years, with some estimates dating it to be older than 20,000 years. This estimate is based on the inaccuracy of the calendar, which is consistent with how the Earth's supposed orbit is thought to have changed during that time. The site is found near the world's oldest known site of permanent aquaculture. A ceramic artifact from Bulgaria, known as the Slatino furnace model, has been pronounced by local archaeologists and media to be the oldest known calendar representation, a claim not endorsed in mainstream views. A Mesolithic arrangement of 12 pits and an ark found in Warrenfield, Aberdeenshire, Scotland, dated to roughly 10,000 years ago, has been described as a lunar calendar and was dubbed the world's oldest known calendar in 2013. The oldest European calendar, other than the one found in Scotland, is the one found near to Vukovar, in modern-day Croatia. It is a ceramic vessel, bearing inscribed diagrams of celestial objects. The oldest calendar of saints of the Church of Rome was compiled in the mid-4th century, under Pope Julius I or Pope Liberius. It contained both pagan and Christian festivals. The oldest extant manuscript of the early Christian calendar is the so-called Calendar of Philocalus, produced in AD 354. A more extensive martyrology was compiled by Jerome in the early 5th century. Jean Mabillon published a calendar of the Church of Carthage made in ca. AD 483. The Anno Domini epoch is introduced in the 6th century. Extant calendars of the early medieval period are based on Jerome's system of numbering of the years of the Metonic cycle, later called the Golden Numbers. The Icelandic calendar was introduced in the 10th century. While the ancient Germanic calendars were based on lunar months, the new Icelandic calendar introduced a purely solar reckoning, with the year having a fixed number of weeks, 52 weeks or 364 days. This necessitated the introduction of leap weeks instead of the Julian leap days. The Islamic calendar is based on the prohibition of intercalation, Nasi, by Muhammad, in Islamic tradition dated to a sermon held on 9 Dhu al-Hijri 10, Julian date, 6th of March 632. This resulted in an observationally based lunar calendar shifting relative to the seasons of the solar year. According to some sources, Mughal Emperor Akbar asked his royal astronomer Fatullah Shirazi to create a new calendar by combining the lunar Islamic calendar and solar Hindu calendar already in use, and this was known as Fasholi Shan. According to Amartya Sen, Akbar's official calendar Tariq-i-Ilahi with the 0 year of 1556 AD was a blend of pre-existing Hindu and Islamic calendars. It was not used much in India, outside of Akbar's Mughal court, and after his death the calendar he launched was abandoned. While the Gregorian calendar is now in worldwide use for secular purposes, various medieval or ancient calendars remain in regional use for religious or social purposes, including the Julian calendar, the Hebrew calendar, the Islamic calendar, various Hindu calendars, the Zoroastrian calendar, etc. There are also various modern calendars that see limited use, either created for the use of new religious movements or reformed versions of older religious calendars, or calendars introduced by regionalist or nationalist movements.